to Level Up with Tech, a video podcast from Beaufort County Schools.
Good morning, Damon. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you.
It's good to have you.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little about yourself?
Sure. My name is Damon Walcott. I work at Washington High School. Been in teaching now for 15 years. Have been at Washington High School, I believe. I'm going on my 9th year there. Before that, I was at D.H. Conley High School. That's where I got started. Grew up in Illinois, moved down to Savannah, Georgia for a while, and then came up the coast and went to ECU, got my master's in education, and then that's where I started.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're an art teacher at Washington. How in the world do you teach art in a remote environment?
That is a great question. We have learned to, just like all teachers, we have learned to sort it out.
Right.
I think at first I thought, there's no way. How am I going to teach? And I'll even throw this, pottery. How do you teach pottery online? So I realized real quick that it is about demonstration and students' personal exploration into the medium. So with pottery, the challenge was getting the materials in their hands initially. Once they had the materials in their hands, the other challenge that we've dealt with is dropping off those materials, me firing them, and then getting them back in their hands. Okay. So right from the beginning, we just had an honest conversation. And I said, okay, y'all, and I get them part of this process. How are we gonna do this? Right. Here's my ideas.
So you involved them in the process.
Y'all are juniors and seniors.
That's awesome.
Help me out. Right. How do you see a class like this actually happening? And we talked our whole first day, over an hour, of the possibilities. I said, okay, so do you want me to pre-record? Do you want me to do this live? Mm-hmm. Do you want me to work individually with you in breakout sessions? And it was a lot of the combination is what I learned. And we've made it work. Right. Oddly enough, we have made it work. As I go throughout the community, people know that I teach pottery, and that is one of the biggest questions that people say is, how do you teach? You're actually not teaching pottery online, are you? And I'll say, and I am proud to say this because of my group of kids, I'm so proud of them, this is the most productive class I have ever had in pottery, and I've taught it now for 12 or 13 years.
Well, I'm sure you had a lot of buy-in because you wanted to have their input and how they wanted things to run. I'm sure that helped. And
I want them to feel like they own the class just as much as I do. I'm a moderator, but we are all in this together. Right. And if they feel that way, because it's an honest approach that I take, I'm not trying to trick them. It's just an honest approach. Yeah. Then I think they feel like, okay, well, he actually wants my input. Right. He wants me to be part of this process. And it's not just me telling him what to do. Right. I don't want them to feel that way. Now, as far as the other visual art classes, the materials have still been a challenge, but it's forced me to be more creative. Gotcha. And I think it's forced me to up my game. And I truly feel, and this is not just lip service, I feel like I'm a better teacher because of this.
That's very cool.
Because of this.
Very cool. So student voice is important to you. I can already tell just from talking to you. Student
voice is one of the most important things in my teaching tool bag.
So how do you get student voice in this remote virtual environment?
That is one of the hardest things that we have been trying to figure out, I think, as all educators, is how do we get students to be involved? And I think, it's just kind of funny as I tease my kids all the time. I say, I'll call them out by name. I'll say, you are one of the most talkative kids that I've ever met. Right. And now you're not saying a word. Right. So what has happened? We have, last year you could ask most teachers and they would say one of my biggest holdbacks is just getting the kids to listen to me. Right. Now, one of the biggest holdups is getting the kids to talk. Right. And the juxtaposition of what we're dealing with here. And I think number one, it's how do we get the students to fall back in love with their education? Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'll be honest, in some cases, it was hard to even get them to fall in love with education even last year and the year before. Right. And that's always been our challenge, right, is to get kids to want to learn, to be intrinsic motivation. But now, even so, with this complete virtual platform, it is even harder. So to go back to your question, to me, it is getting them involved in the process and using a few tools that I have explored so far, and I'm sure there's so many more out there. Right. That's the great thing about what you all are trying to do here, and the PD of Better Together. That was a good opportunity for us to learn all the different ways that teachers are trying to reach out to their students and get their student voice. So Flipgrid is one of the ones that I use, and I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit.
Well, we can go ahead and talk about it.
Okay.
So you use Flipgrid. How do you use it with art?
Okay. So Flipgrid, to go back to it now, how I was exposed to Flipgrid was through the Better Together PD that we had about a month ago. My friend John Catawar, I attended his session, and he is at Bath Middle School, and he said it's amazing. It's an amazing way of getting kids to be back part of the process, to get them to talk, to get student voice. So immediately I said, all right, this is the kind of session I need to take. Let me get my screen back live. So after having gone through that, I immediately walked up and down the hallway and told other teachers who I knew were not part of that session, you guys got to check out Flipgrid. This is great. This is great. And then, of course, we shared. So that was part of the process of why we do PD, so we can learn and then share. What I like about Flipgrid and how it fits into the art curriculum is I get students to display their artwork, and I give them just a few restrictions. I say, number one, you don't even have to show your face. I want to see your project. But the big thing that I want to hear is you. I want to hear your voice, and I want you to hear you explain. I want to hear you talk and share. And an important part of Flipgrid is to give them questions to answer or to be pretty specific in what you're looking for. And another part of it is the timing of it. You can actually limit the amount of time that they have to talk. So the first one I did, I think, was 15 seconds. Sounds crazy, but 15 seconds, I think, was vital in their initial view of it, meaning they saw it as a very low threat, as a very low stakes. This is only 15 seconds. I can do this. And then I upped it to 30 seconds. And then we went to 45 seconds. So you just introduce it, just getting their feet wet, and then you move to the next levels. And what I'm looking for is an explanation of their project, what they're proudest of, and what they wish they would have done different.
Gotcha.
And by watching each other's, I think we get to learn that way.
Yeah.
It's the closest thing that I can find to us being back to normalcy. To what we had last year.
Do they watch each other's a lot?
They do. Yeah. Yep. I can see that all of them have views and responses. So cool. Yeah, and then they get the chance to respond to each other. Yeah. And in some cases, as a teacher, you can say, I want you to view every once, and then you can put literacy into the content there and say, write up a critique of someone else's. That's cool. Write up questions that you would ask of them, or give them some honest feedback. And then they can do that live right there, or they can just do it on a Google Doc and send it to them. So there's different ways of putting literacy into it also. That's cool. And it's another great thing about it is they just use their Chromebooks. There's no special tech involved. It's free. You log into Google, and your Google login will take you right into Flipgrid. There's the connection there. So kids don't need to make an additional login, which they and myself will lose. So it makes it simple. And I'll tell you, for the non-tech teachers out there, Flipgrid's easy to understand. Very easy to understand.
Do you assign the Flipgrids right in your Google Classroom?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So they'll log in, and I'll say, okay, instead of us doing a live critique, because again, live critique is similar to what we had done last year, sometimes kids get a little anxious about that. They get anxious about turning a video on.
Right.
So that's another plus, another positive for Flipgrid is they don't have to feel live in front of their peers. They can do it on their own time. They know it's a short little concise blurb. They don't have to have their face in it. As far as I'm concerned, that's I don't give them a requirement for that. And they can re-record it, if they mess up, as we all do. I used to work video right out of college, and I get in front of a camera and I stutter like so of all people. I mean, I had to re-record mine 3 times. And I told him that. I said, y'all, number one, this is low stakes. Number 2, feel free to re-record. I had to do mine 3 times. And I think showing students our own faults is an important thing as a leader in the classroom.
Absolutely. Can you show us a few of the projects you assigned? Yeah,
if we're ready to go, I'll go ahead and click on. Here I've got 2 of them active. So those are the 2 that you're seeing. The couple things that you'll see here is the explanation of what I'm looking for, what I'm asking them to do. And then a very important part is a model.
Here's my project. I chose.
So you want to model this
because I thought it
process
would be
for them.
cool to try to make a lizard on the side. I am most proud of the way the lizard's legs turned out. But if I had to do it again, I would definitely add more variety to the bottom coils. That part's like, so-so to me.
As everything is, if they see that we are comfortable with doing it, we're comfortable in our own skin to put ourselves out there.
And
then
that's important that they see that.
Yeah, I feel like they're more likely to do it. So here, this was actually between two different projects. So some had done a plate, some had done an independent project. So I kind of gave two different explanations for each. But
so this is my
here's one girl's. Nice thing is it automatically gets rid of their last name. It just puts a letter.
Okay.
That wasn't anything I did.
The first one I made looked like a cornucopia, so I had to start over. The thing I'm most proud of is the tree, because this was pretty hard to get in there. And one thing I would change is I would make these a little bit bigger, because it looks like a cocoon, kind of.
So I will tell you, it's hard to explain just by watching this, but it does make the teacher heart in you swell to see and hear your kids explaining what they had done. Every time I've watched these, I just smile like that's my kids. You know, that's they did these projects and they're proud of them, and I can hear it in their voice, and it's just great to hear them again. And it creates that extra connection that we so long to have.
This area, because it was taking me a while to get it right. If I had to do it over, I would change the face design.
I can show you the other real quick if you'd like. So again, important to have a model.
All right, so I chose my 4 items: the spray bottle because I have to use it to clean my room all the time, a tool because I like working with hand tools. That's my coffee mug, important to me, and photography. I love photography. I like all the areas. I think I'm proudest of the drawing the most, and I'm probably second proudest of the pen. If I were to change anything, I would probably have used a colored background because the background was boring and that made it difficult to do.
So that was a full 30-second one, and then I can show you one other students on this. Let's see.
All right, so these are my 4 items. I chose the Jordan 11s, a basketball, Gatorade, and a football. I chose the Jordan 11 because it's my favorite shoe. I chose basketball because that's the only thing I do. I chose the Gatorades because that's all I train. I chose the football because that's another sport I love. My favorite part, my best successful part is the marker part. And if I had to change anything, it would be this part. I probably would do watercolor.
Okay, so overall, I stress to them, I'm not looking for perfection. I'm just looking for them to put themselves out there and give it a try and trust me. Right. And that it's part of this growing process, that we're learning new technologies and we're trying to incorporate them into the classroom, and let's just learn and grow together. Gotcha. And that modeling part is important. Right. To show
I love
them.
that you're using Flipgrid. It's nothing new. It's been around for a while, but I've done multiple PDs on it, but it's cool to see you excited about using Flipgrid and sharing it with the other teachers in your hallway or whatever. But that's pretty cool.
I will say, to go back to the things that you all have trained us in the last 2, 3, 4 years. There's so many times I walk out of those trainings and think, man, that is awesome software. Right. And it's free, and holy cow, I need to use that. And the second I get in my room and close my door, it is right back to business as usual. Right. And I think that is just survival, in a sense. I go back to what I know that I can do, and it's like, well, I'll use that soon. I will sit down and use that. And then, I'm behind on my grades. I'm behind on doing this. And then 2 months goes by and it's gone. Right. But this, again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. This current teaching situation has forced me to become a better teacher.
Now you need these tools for survival.
I have now looked at new tools. That's right. And now I know, and I'm comfortable with them. And I know a lot of teachers are now more comfortable with using this. Right. So I don't think teaching will ever be the same.
I don't either.
And I don't mean that as a negative. I think that teaching now will be better than ever whenever we come back physically, because we are all now more comfortable with sharing our content, not just physically face to face, but virtually. And there are so many kinds of learners out there. Kids learn so many different ways, and some really strive off this. So we can just reach that many more kids.
That's right.
That's a good thing.
That's right. Well, it's always good to see you and good to have you on the show.
Great to see you. Thanks.
Appreciate you coming.
I feel like I dominated the whole time. I never shut up.
I love it. Thank you.
Great to see you, Amy.
You too.
Thanks, everybody, for watching.
All right, later.